It began like any other quiet morning in a remote part of Western Australia, until a friend arrived at a secluded countryside home and stumbled upon something that would haunt the region for decades. A young man's body lay motionless in the driveway, face down, eerily silent beneath the rising sun. Fearing the worst, the visitor didn't dare go inside and immediately called the police. When police entered the property, what they discovered was beyond anything they had ever encountered, an unimaginable scene that would leave even the most seasoned officers visibly shaken. Gruesome, deliberate, and deeply disturbing. In a home once filled with echoes of laughter and life, a brutal act had silenced everything. As word spread, the peaceful rural community was gripped by fear, confusion, and heartbreak. This is the gruesome and tragic case of the Greenough Family Massacre. On the peaceful edges of Greenough in Western Australia, the McKenzie family led a simple and tightly connected life set against the wide and calm beauty of the countryside. Karen McKenzie, a 31-year-old single mum, was the centre of the household, a woman full of strength and kindness who welcomed the quiet of living far from town. Their home, hidden within the rough but beautiful land, offered a calm escape from the rush of city life, where the slower pace of country living brought both hardships and comfort. Karen cared for her children with love and determination, facing the challenges of living in a remote area with strength. Her oldest child, 16-year-old Daniel, was well liked in their small town for his easygoing nature and warm smile, a young man growing into adulthood with hope and potential. Amara, who was 7, was full of energy and curiosity and seemed to enjoy the outdoors around their home, likely spending her time discovering and learning. And little Katrina, just 5 years old, was full of the pure joy that comes with being a child. Her days were simple, happy, and closely tied to the natural world around her. While not much is known about how the family spent each day, what stands out is a picture of a loving household deeply connected to the place they called home. Karen's steady strength, Daniel's kind nature, Amara's bright energy, and Katrina's soft, sweet presence all came together to create a peaceful life in a place where life moved slowly, yet meaningfully. But on the night of February 21st and into the early hours of the 22nd, 1993, that calm was broken in a horrific and unimaginable way. The lives of this ordinary, close-knit family crossed paths with a troubled young man, leading to a tragedy that would shake Greenough and leave a lasting impact across Australia. William Patrick Mitchell, a 22-year-old farm worker who knew Karen, was only loosely connected to the family. It's believed that Karen had recently turned down his romantic interest, something that would later become a key detail in this case. Unlike the steady life the McKenzies shared, Mitchell's background was troubled, with reports suggesting he had ongoing issues with drug use. On the Sunday night before, William Patrick Mitchell had taken a heavy mix of cannabis, alcohol, and amphetamines, a combination that pushed him toward a violent path. At around 3 a.m. on Monday, February 22nd, he drove out to the McKenzie family's isolated home in Greenough. What exactly he planned was unknown, but what followed was deeply tragic. Daniel was still awake at that late hour when he heard a car arrive. Curious about who it could be, he turned on the kitchen light and stepped outside to take a look, unaware of the danger that was lurking. Carrying a tomahawk-style axe, Mitchell walked up to Daniel, ignoring the teenager's effort to say hello. In a quick and cruel attack, he hit Daniel several times, ending his life on the dusty driveway where he collapsed face first. The first tragedy of that terrible night. Mitchell then stepped into the house, finding Karen McKenzie asleep on a mattress in the lounge room. Using the same axe, he struck her head and neck repeatedly, taking her life as well. In an act of depravity, he grabbed some lotion from the bathroom and a plastic bag, which he put over Karen's head before assaulting her corpse 3 times. The horror continued as Mitchell focused on Karen's 2 young daughters, 7-year-old Amara and 5-year-old Katrina, who were probably sleeping in their rooms. He also assaulted Amara before ending her life and took Katrina's life in her bed. The details of how they died were deemed so gruesome that a judge later ordered the details to remain sealed, protecting the public from the full extent of the horror. The McKenzie home, once a haven of warmth, became a scene of unimaginable carnage. Mitchell, possibly fueled by drugs and anger over Karen's rejection, left behind no one alive. The family's dogs barked through the chaos, the only ones to witness the horror as it happened, though their cries went unnoticed in the stillness of the early morning. When Mitchell finally left the property, the lives of Karen, Daniel, Amara, and Katrina had been cruelly taken, and the quiet town of Greenough was forever changed. The horrific scene was uncovered on the morning of February 22, 1993, when a friend arrived at the McKenzie home to carry out a job for Karen. They were stopped cold by the sight of Daniel's body lying face down on the driveway. Too shaken to go inside alone, they quickly contacted the police. Among the first to arrive was Sergeant Brian Jones, who was met with a scene so disturbing it would stay with him and others on the case for the rest of their lives. Inside the home, the bodies of Karen, Amara, and Katrina were found where their lives had been taken. Karen in the lounge and the girls in their bedrooms, all showing clear signs of a brutal attack with an axe. The level of violence shocked even the most experienced officers, and the case soon became one of the most serious and closely followed investigations in Western Australia's history. Police and forensic teams carefully examined every part of the house, gathering as much evidence as possible to find out who was responsible. For a week, search teams spread out across the nearby area, hoping to uncover anything that might lead them to the killer. At first, the case was difficult, with no strong leads to follow. But soon, investigators found something important. A substance later confirmed as sorbeline cream was spotted on a bedroom door, and within it, a clear fingerprint had been left behind. The door was removed and taken to Perth for closer analysis, a step that would later become key in solving the case. Officers spoke to 72 people connected to the family, including William Mitchell, who was interviewed early on, but didn't raise suspicion at the time. On March 5, 1993, the funeral for Karen, Daniel, Amara, and Katrina was held with Mitchell attending quietly, a disturbing detail that went unnoticed at the time. The investigation continued for 5 long and difficult weeks, as fear grew among the public and the local community as they struggled to cope with the tragedy. Rumors and guesses filled the air, with some thinking it might have been a jilted lover or even a gang-related revenge attack. One story involved a psychic named Gabrielle, who claimed she helped by giving a profile of the killer and pointing out a missed fingerprint. Both the police and the family denied she was involved, and there are no official records to support her claims. Despite these distractions, investigators stayed focused on the solid evidence, especially the sorbeline cream and the fingerprint, which gave them hope that they were getting closer to the truth. 5 weeks after the murders, in 1993, police arrested William Patrick Mitchell. During standard interviews with people connected to the case, his fingerprint was found to match the one discovered in the sorbeline cream on the bedroom door, directly linking him to the scene. At first, Mitchell denied being involved, but after he tried to harm himself while in custody and was taken to the hospital, he eventually admitted to the killings. In September 1993, he pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder and 4 counts of sexual assault, including 3 committed against Karen's body and 1 against Amara before taking her life. His guilty plea avoided a long trial, but the shocking details that came out, though some were kept hidden due to their brutal nature, caused widespread outrage, with many calling for the return of the death penalty in Australia. In 1995, at 24 years old, Mitchell was found guilty and sentenced to 4 concurrent life sentences, with a 20-year non-parole period. Justice Neville Owen, presiding over the case, described the murders as so serious they were almost beyond words and defied description, noting the victims' innocence and the depraved and shameful acts that accompanied the killings. The prosecution had sought a sentence without parole, but the judge set a 20-year minimum, making Mitchell eligible for parole in 2013. The public reacted angrily to what they saw as a lenient sentence, leading to a Crown appeal. In 1994, a full bench of the Western Australia Supreme Court ruled that Mitchell should never be released, making him the first person in the state to receive true life imprisonment under new laws. However, in 1996, the High Court overturned this decision, bringing back the original 20-year non-parole period, a ruling that shocked many. Mitchell's time in prison was filled with controversy. In 2010, his transfer from Casuarina Prison to the medium-security Bunbury Regional Prison sparked concerns that he might be getting ready for release, which caused public alarm. Parole hearings in 2013 and 2016 were met with strong opposition, with online petitions collecting thousands of signatures, and Karen's sister, Evelyn Clow, pledging to fight his release. Both times, Attorney General Michael Mishin rejected his parole, citing the seriousness of his crimes and the need to protect public safety. In 2018, new laws introduced by the McGowan government extended the parole review periods for mass murderers to 6 years, pushing Mitchell's next possible parole review to 2024. In 2024, it was announced that this would be further delayed by another 6 years. Mitchell is still serving his sentence at Bunbury Regional Prison, and he may not be eligible for parole until 2030. The Greenough Family Massacre left a lasting impact on Western Australia, turning a peaceful rural community into a symbol of deep loss. Karen McKenzie and her children, Daniel, Amara and Katrina, are remembered not for the tragic way they died, but for the lives they lived. Karen's strength as a single mother, Daniel's kindness, Amara's curiosity, and Katrina's innocence. Their funeral on March 5, 1993, was attended by mourners from all over the region, showing how much the family was loved by the people of Greenough. However, the tragedy also sparked wider conversations with calls for tougher penalties and renewed discussions about the death penalty, though it remained abolished in Australia. Karen's family, especially her sister Evelyn Clow and mother Barbara Marchant, have been strong supporters of keeping Mitchell imprisoned. Evelyn's determination, in which she said, "As long as I've got breath left in my body, I'm going to do everything I can to keep him inside," has driven petitions and public efforts, ensuring that the victims are remembered and justice continues to be pursued. In 2007, Barbara shared her ongoing anger and fear about Mitchell possibly being released, a feeling shared by many in the local community. The impact of the massacre still resonates in Greenough, where the property remains a solemn reminder, and those passing by often stop to reflect on the tragedy. The case has had a lasting effect beyond just the personal tragedy. It led to legal changes, such as the 2018 laws that delayed parole for mass murderers and drew attention to the emotional toll on first responders. Western Australia Police Commissioner Carl O'Callaghan mentioned in 2013 that some officers remained deeply affected by the crime scene. The court's decision to suppress certain details highlighted the extraordinary nature of the massacre, but the story of the McKenzies continues to be remembered for their strength and loss. It is profoundly saddening to reflect on what the victims suffered at the hands of this cold-hearted monster. As this tragic story comes to a close, our thoughts are with those whose lives were so needlessly lost, and with the loved ones who continue to carry their memory. If you found this video compelling, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.